We are back with Music Theory 101. In this video, we're going to be talking about what do we mean when we say something is chromatic? What does that mean? It sounds like some sort of photography technique. Well, it isn't. It's a little bit different, and I'll do my best to explain it to you in very simple terms as quickly as possible. So chromaticism is built on the chromatic scale. What is the chromatic scale? The chromatic scale is all the notes on the keyboard. Usually, and if you haven't seen it, watch the video on pentatonic versus diatonic scales. That's a 5-note versus a 7-note scale. The chromatic scale is all the notes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 notes. Now, we don't often play with all 12 notes, no pun intended, in play. But certainly a lot of people do. And some of those people are 12-tone composers. You can look that up. Jazz musicians, lots of chromaticism. Everything is on the table. What are the pros? Some of the pros are you can play. You can play any of the notes on the keyboard. You can get a lot more what we call blues notes. You can create tension in different ways. You can have more complex chords, harmonies. The disadvantage, of course, is that if you're going to go into a chromatic musical landscape, there may be more things that you can do that won't fit in with the music. And that's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from what I talked about when we talked about the pentatonic scale, which is kind of like our safety playground area where you can't really hurt yourself that bad, even if you tried musical landscape where we have limitations. And I use the analogy of it's like bowling with the bumpers on the side. You're going to hit something if you throw the ball down there. With a chromatic scale, you know, you've got a lot more places that you can go, but you have a lot more ways that you can maybe misstep. Although, here's something that I would recommend that you try, and that is, in my book, I talked about playing a chromatic scale cadenza. And a cadenza is like the end of a piece. Usually it features a musician, and it's like the big solo before the big finale of the piece. And I suggested, and I'll do a little right now, that people just try to pretend you're a master musician. Maybe you are, but at least pretend you are, and play the keyboard with intention and purpose, and just go for it and play anything. Why do I sound like I'm watching a Bugs Bunny cartoon all of a sudden? Hey, cartoon music is awesome. So that's one way you can experience the chromatic scale and just have fun with it and try, play some different things, try different things out. Another thing that I recommend that you do with the chromatic scale is to experience all of the intervals in music and take your time. And this is something I think most musicians don't do, and every musician should do, and that is to go through the chromatic scale with the intention of relating every degree of the scale to an interval, and hang out with these intervals to the point where you become very familiar with the sound of them. So now, I'm kind of talking about intervals right now, but the chromatic scale is where we get all the intervals. So when I hear minor sixth, there's a certain quality to that. And it's different than a fifth, right? Or certainly a tritone. And a fifth is open, but it's a little more open than a fourth. A fourth is similar, but not the same. And a major third has a certain quality. And a minor third has a certain quality. Certainly a major second is interesting, and a half step, it just makes you think something is going to happen any second, and maybe you want to get out of there. All right, so experiencing the chromatic scale slowly, and take way more time than I just did right here, but really listen to every interval and create those intervals in different ways all over the keyboard, And that'll help you tune into the chromaticism in music, but it'll also help you tune into the quality of the different intervals that make up chords and that make up melodies and that relate to the music in different ways. And that, my friends, is super valuable. And that could be a big level up for you as a musician if you can familiarize yourself with those tonal qualities and the interval qualities using the chromatic scale. All right, so quick review. The chromatic scale just means all the notes on the keyboard, all the naturals, all the sharps and flats are in play. They don't all have to be in play at the same time or over the same piece, but basically chromatic music is implying that we're going to use all the notes, as opposed to pentatonic or diatonic music, which has other limitations. And then the chromatic scale allows us to experience all the different intervals. Not the only way we can experience them, but one of the best ways, I think, is to sit down and just play all the notes in the chromatic scale so you experience all those different intervals or note relationships over a fixed bass tone. And that's it. That's what I have for you in this video. Chromaticism. Go check it out. You can look at other resources. Look at some 12-tone composers, 12-tone music. You might find that interesting. We're going to wrap up this video. If you'd like to connect with me more, you can do that at patreon.com/Kalani. Show us some love over there. Join if you'd like to learn more, study with me, etc., and connect. And in the meantime, go out and play some great music. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.